Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. I have been solving math problems for GRE out of this book here, practicing to take the GRE General Test, the 10th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. This is a good source, an excellent source to prepare oneself for the exam. Because that's where you're going to find the real exam, obviously. The problem that I'm about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 291, quantitative comparison question number 12. Let's take a look at it. They give us a little number line, so I'm going to reproduce here as best as I can. And then they give you 2 points. So I'm going to put the 2 points in a different color, just because we have the flair for the dramatics. So here we go. Here's your point P. And here's your point R. As you can clearly see, that R falls somewhere between 0 and positive 1, and P falls to the left of negative 1. That tells me immediately that P is even less than negative 1. Maybe it's negative 1.5, maybe it's negative 1.25, negative 1.1, who knows what it is. But it is less than negative 1 because it's to the left of negative 1. And R is between 0 and 1. It tells me that therefore R is positive, but it is less than 1. But it is positive, it's a positive fraction. We don't know what it is, but we'll see what they're asking. Question number 12 is what we are doing. Oh, there you go. So they want you to compare, these are the two quantities they want you to compare. Here's your column A and column B. In column A, they have negative P. And in column B, they have R. I shouldn't put this small p because I've been using capital P. Actually, it's a pretty straightforward, simple problem. Straightforward, simple problem because you see P is something less than negative 1. If it makes it easier for you, let's plug in. Let's plug in a value for P so that it's easier for us to talk about it, because otherwise we end up dealing in an abstract term. If dealing with an abstract term with a variable, you find it unsettling, inconvenient, bothersome, whatever adjective that you want to use there, then just plug in a value for the variable, so that we are no longer dealing in an abstract context, in an abstract manner. Rather we have something concrete to work with. So I'm going to make up a value. Let's plug in a value for P. I'm just going to say P. Let's suppose P is negative 1.25. I could have put in negative 1.5, negative 1.1. It doesn't really matter. I could have plugged in negative 30,000. It wouldn't have mattered. I put in negative 1.25 because it looks like about a quarter. Half, who knows? Let's put in negative half. Makes it easier. But you understand, I'm coming up with this value not because I'm sitting there and fussing over exactly where it falls. Oh my God, it falls at half, or does it fall at quarter? I'm not doing that. I'm just making up on a whim, on a caprice, on an impulse, if you like. And of course, if you don't know these words, it does not hurt to open a dictionary and learn the words. Vocabulary is very important for the GRE. Of course, I understand that these are simple words, but I'm doing it for the benefit of those people whose language might be other than English language, first language that is. Or even if it's your first language is English, you may not have the vocabulary, sufficient vocabulary to do well on the exam. Notice, to do well, not to do good on the exam. And therefore it does not hurt for one to work on one's vocabulary. Whim, and the other word that I used was caprice. And the third word that I used was impulse. And of course these are all synonyms. So I'm just plugging in 1.5 on an impulse, on a caprice. That's where the word capricious comes from, and that's where the word whimsical comes from. One who is whimsical is said to do things on whims rather. I don't know why I'm turning this into a vocabulary lesson. Let's continue here. So my p is negative 1.5. If p is negative 1.5, here they give me negative p. Negative of negative 1.5 would be positive 1.5. In other words, if I had not plugged in a value for p, this is how we would speak. But we will say that since p is on the left of negative 1, we know that positive p, therefore p negative, the absolute value of p, which is what it means. But by the time we put a negative sign in p, we're looking at the absolute value of p, and therefore absolute value of p, whatever it is going to be more than 1. As you can clearly see here, is 1.5. And r, and on the second column they have r. R we know for a fact is less than 1. R is less than 1. And negative p, as we just saw, is more than 1. That's all. R is less than 1. And p, as we just saw, is more than 1. Or rather negative p is more than 1 because it's to the left of negative 1. If it's to the left of negative 1, by the time you put a negative sign in front of it, the whole quantity becomes positive. Because negative times negative will become positive. As you can clearly see here, negative times negative became positive. So it's going to be some number more than 1 because it's to the left of the negative 1. So this negative p is something more than 1, and r, as we can clearly see, is something less than 1. And therefore, the answer is A. That's all. That's all it is. We're done. I hope you found it helpful. Actually, it wasn't actually that bad of a problem. I just realized here. About 2/3 of the people who took the exam got this question right. The percentile here was 64. About 2/3 of the people got it right. Only a third of the people, about 36% of people, had trouble with it. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, either face-to-face tutoring or through online, through Skype and so forth, I do that as well, through online, through Skype, or just a plain old-fashioned telephone consulting, I do that also. I tutor people right on telephone. People find it helpful. If there is anything at all that I can help you with for your preparation for GRE, please get hold of me. Go to my website at www.for4gre.com and send me an email. Alright? Or you can go to www.KeshwaniPrep.com. Okay? Thanks.